Rihanna and Greta get behind India's furious farmers, but the Bollywood elite tell them to mind their own business. Months of unrest have brought parts of India to a standstill. Will the pressure force the government to back down and repeal controversial farming laws? I'm Ali Mustafa, and today on The Newsmakers, we unpack the farmers' protests in India. Farming is the lifeblood of India. More than half the country's workforce works on farms, and the industry generates billions for the economy. But right now, instead of planting crops, farmers are blocking highways leading to India's capital, New Delhi. For months, they've been in a standoff with the government over farming legislation. The ruling BJP is adamant the new laws are essential to grow India's economy. But farmers fear they're being cheated. We'll discuss all this and more in a moment, but first, Natalie Pohanen has this report.
In India, farmers have swapped fields for highways. Trucks and tractors have become political symbols in their months-long protests against the government and the agricultural bills it ushered in last year. And now that struggle has gone global. Shout-outs on social media from international celebrities in support of the protesters have drawn the ire of the Indian government and its supporters. The External Affairs Ministry described the messages as sensationalist and irresponsible. Singer and businesswoman Rihanna drew the attention of her more than 100 million followers to this article about the protests. Climate activist Greta Thunberg tweeted her support and, after facing an online backlash, doubled down with another tweet of solidarity. Meena Harris, a lawyer and the niece of US Vice President Kamala Harris, also used her platform to raise awareness about the farmers. But the Indian government has some domestic star power in its own corner. Cricket legend Sachin Tendulkar said the protests are an issue just for Indians. And high-profile Bollywood figures have also taken to social media with similar messages. The three agriculture bills were passed in Parliament in September, and they changed the rules around the pricing, sale and storage of crops. It's a major shake-up of the sector, which employs about 2/3 of India's population. For decades, farmers have sold their crops to authorised middlemen at state-run wholesale markets known as mandis. They'll still be able to do that, but with the legislative changes, they can also sell to others, including corporations. Many farmers fear that will hurt their income and could bring an end to guaranteed prices for crops. There are also concerns that these laws will ultimately end up benefiting big business. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says the move is necessary to bring the industry into the 21st century. This week in Parliament, he again urged farmers to end their protests.
मैं विश्वास दिलाता हूं कि मंडियां अधिक आधुनिक बने, अधिक प्रतिस्पर्धी होगी। इस बार बजट में भी उसके लिए हमने प्रावधान किया है। इतना ही नहीं, एमएसपी है, एमएसपी था, एमएसपी रहेगा।
But that promise may not be enough.
We want the repeal of the black agriculture laws. We don't care if we die. We will not give up our land.
That's a message farmers shared on Republic Day when they stormed the Red Fort in New Delhi. Neither the government nor the protesters are backing down. Both sides remain committed to their cause. This is, after all, a fight about livelihoods. But at what point does the cost become too high? Natalie Pohanen, The Newsmakers.
And joining me from Uppsala in Sweden, as well as Bengaluru in India is, well, first it's Ashok Swain. He's in Sweden. And Amandeep Sandhu, he is a journalist and writer. He joins us from Bengaluru in India. We're also expecting the BJP National Spokesperson, Gopal Krishna Agarwal, to join us. But before he joins the conversation, Amandeep, I want to go to you first. lay out what the current situation is right now between the farmers and the BJP government months after this protest started?
Thank you very much for inviting me here. The farmers' protest has spread across India. 2 months back, 4 months back, it was confined to Punjab, then Haryana joined, Rajasthan, the whole of North India, and now it has spread to even where I live in South India, in Karnataka. And they are becoming bigger and bigger. Many millions of people are joining it. And the resolve is just very simple. Repeal the black laws, repeal the farm laws, and legalize MSP, which is the minimum support price, which has been a convention in India for the last 30, 40, 50 years. But now, under threat of private players gobbling up the market, the farmers are really pushing to implement the MSP. These two demands stay. The protests have grown. And right now, the government does not really have any way to escape facing up to the farmers finally.
So we'll get the government response in a bit, but from what you are saying, Amandeep, this is no longer then a Punjab or Haryana issue, it seems.
It is not. It has spread all across India. There is huge, in fact, the events of 26 January, as you just depicted, that day, the protest truly moved from Punjab, Haryana into the Hindi heartland of India, the biggest province of India, the Uttar Pradesh, and subsequently to Uttarakhand, to Madhya Pradesh. It is spreading to Odisha, to West Bengal. 3 days back, there was a huge, what is called a chakka jam, basically a 3-hour stoppage of all vehicles as a mark of protest. It was very, very widely successful all across the country, while the farmers, actually the protesting farmers, are sitting confined in their protest sites, confined by the government. They are unable to move into Delhi. They don't want to move into Delhi unnecessarily, but for Chakka Jam, they needed to, but they could not. And yet it was successful all over the country.
Ashok, I want to bring you in very quickly. A few days ago, you wrote an article on how protest movements are spreading around the world, but they aren't being as successful. Without naming the farmers' protest in that document, in that article, does this also apply, your assertion also apply to what's happening in India at the moment?
Thank you for inviting me. Yes, I think the protests, as you know, are increasingly, we are witnessing in different parts of the world, including India. And I think the problem has been that the protests are becoming bigger, larger, and also, as you have mentioned in your initial report, it's also getting the global attention. The real challenge is many of these protests, including the protests in India, are not able to achieve the demands which they have been asking for or they have been demanding for. And the reason is when the success of these protests not only depends on the success of the movement mobilization, people coming out asking for their rights, but also the response of the regime, a response of the government. What we are seeing in many parts of the world, and also in India, the regimes are becoming quite different. They are not democratically following the principles of how to absolve the protesters and the dissent into their decision-making process. And when you become a kind of image of strongman image, doesn't fit well of how you can address these kind of concerns and you can get, withdraw from the kind of decisions you have made. So it's a kind of becoming a prestige issue for many of these leaders. Rather than behaving responsibly, they are acting to create their image of a strongman. So that's why the protests are not becoming successful.
In the absence of, as we work through the technical difficulties and try to get Mr. Gopal, Krishna, Agarwal on air, let me ask you some questions, especially you, Amandeep. The government says, and a lot of economists agree, that the farming sector, the agriculture sector, has been in dire need of reforms for decades now. In fact, they argue that a few days ago, Prime Minister Narendra Modi came out and he said that the MSP, the minimum support price, will not go away. It will stay in place. So it seems the government is willing to negotiate on one side, but also that the farming sector, agriculture, needed major reforms?
I'll have to answer it in point by point because these are many complex ideas here. In the first place, we have to notice that there is a deep trust deficit in India. The people are unwilling to take the government for the word that they promised to the people. This has been betrayed many times, not only in the last 7 years, but actually over the last 50, 60 years, ever since agriculture in India was, in fact, a bit streamlined into the Green Revolution model, at least in North India. Farmer crisis, agrarian crisis have been deep. Subsequent governments have ignored them. And the people are unable to trust any government making a promise to them. And so when Mr. Modi says that the MSP will stay, the farmers are simply saying, put it in writing, make it a law. That is all that you do for us if you are promising us that it will stay. But they're unwilling to do that. The second aspect to this is that this government has really harvested the anger of agrarian India. But agrarian India has been neglected again by subsequent governments. In 2007, the previous government set up a panel which produced its report. It's called popularly the Swaminathan report, but the government was unwilling to implement it. This government, when it was coming into elections in 2014, actually took the terms of reference of the Swaminathan report and said we will implement them. You see, and then they did not. They went to the Supreme Court and said, oh, this will skew the market. The question is, why would it skew the market? If the farmer really gets returns for the produce they're producing, then why would it skew the market? Because the agri-businesses will not be able to earn as much as they were doing when the farmer is depressed, when the prices are kept low. That is the reason it will screw the market. So this is the complex issue that people no longer trust government. People want things written in black and white, even black and white. I mean, you must notice that these laws that have been created in violation of the Constitution, which actually says that the center cannot make laws around the agriculture.
Hold on, Amandeep. Hold on, Amandeep. This is what you are saying is contrary to what the government says. The government says that this legislation passed both houses of parliament. It was fiercely debated. And actually, let's bring in the government point of view now. Finally joining us from New Delhi, Gopal, Krishna, Agarwal. Thank you, Mr. Agarwal. We seem to have overcome the technical issues. Please respond to what Amandeep is saying, that these laws were implemented or passed without consensus or even illegally.
I will just tell you three things. The empowered committee of the agriculture ministers of the state have recommended these amendments. One thing. The 62nd committee or parliament committee on agriculture, after a wide consultation with more than 300 organizations across India, that is the main committee which recommends on the agricultural laws in the parliament, that has given this recommendation. The third is various commissions like MS Swaminathan Commission and several commissions. They have also recommended that we need a big reforms in the agriculture marketing. We need private investment. We need in India to develop, remove the Essential Commodities Act upper limit, because it was earlier in 1955 when there was shortages of commodities. Now there is a surplus. So we need private players in the market economy, and therefore these three laws were brought in. These three laws have a clear purpose to bring private investment into the agriculture marketing, strengthen the marketing, strengthen the warehousing storage capacity, strengthen cold chain storage and supply chain, and bring more investment.
Mr. Agarwal, Mr. Agarwal,
yes.
Just to go on your point, so you believe that market forces, private enterprise is the right way to go to reform agriculture. Can you base your assumptions on any previous models? What are you basing your assumptions on?
No, but the thing is, for last 60, 70 years, more than 60% of our population is based on agriculture. Their contribution to GDP is less than 13 to 14%. That is the problem for the agriculture sector. So what we need is more investment. We have to have storage capacity. We need to have food processing industries. We need more market. We at present have only 7,000 local agriculture markets across country. The study shows that we need at least 40,000 total new markets. So where these will come? This will come from private investment.
All right, we get that point.
And
We get that point,
addition,
Mr. Agarwal. Just to put this discussion in some
another point
context,
that
I'll come
yeah.
to you, Amandeep, very shortly. But just to put this discussion in some context, Mr. Agarwal, BJP's point of view is that private enterprise is desperately needed. We were talking about Punjab and Haryana, which is considered the grain bowl of India. Between 2000 and 2015, according to research done by 4 universities in Indian Punjab, 16,600 farmers and farm workers in Punjab committed suicide. Every third farmer in Punjab happens to be below the poverty line. 86% of the farmers in overall India have a landholding size of less than 5 acres. And in Punjab, roughly 70% of small farmers get the benefit of the minimum support price. Are you willing to put down a government commitment in writing in law that you will not scrap the MSP or the minimum support price? Mr. Agarwal.
Yes, Prime Minister has said on the floor of the Parliament that MSP was there, is there, and we will continue.
Will you put it down in writing?
MSP.
Will you put it down in writing, as Amandeep has been asking?
Yeah. Yes, the government is ready to discuss on the issue what legislative changes the farmers
No. That's not the
MSP.
question. That's not the question, Mr. Agarwal. The question is the government willing to put this down, that MSP will be preserved in writing in law?
MSP, yes, government has said several times that we are ready to write this and bring any legislative changes that the MSP is required by the farmers.
All right. Let's bring in Amandeep. Amandeep, Mr. Agarwal is saying
No,
the government has said that it is ready to put it down in writing. What do you say?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mr. Agarwal. I have not seen this reported in any newspaper, in any government statement, in any press release. Put a notification, make it public, and then we will know that you want to do it. You know, you
He's
can
making
say it
it public. He's making it public,
Right.
Amandeep, on the show. He's saying the government is ready to put it down on paper.
This is the first
we are
time in
ready
my
to
life I'm getting.
discuss and change whatever legislative changes people want. What is the problem? I tell you.
Specifically
The problem
MSP, Mr. Agarwal. Specifically MSP.
Yeah, I'm telling. Yeah, MSP, the government, the structure of MSP, which is existing in the current status, will continue. Government is ready to give it in writing. And government has already said, the agriculture minister has said, we are ready to discuss whatever changes you want in the legislation. But this MSP is not related. It is not discussed in these 3 laws. Whether you want it as a separate law, separate in writing, government is ready to that. We are committed to continue MSP.
All right. Hold on there, Mr. Agarwal. Very quickly to Amandeep. Then I want to bring Ashok in as well. We are on limited time. Go ahead, Amandeep. How would you respond?
2 points. They say they will do it in writing, then they move to, we will discuss it. That is the slippery foot of the government. Second not in its current form. MSP for 23 crops all across the country for all farmers. That is the demand.
Mr. Agarwal?
So, yeah, there is one thing we have to understand is this farmers' agitation is saying that these 3 laws have to be removed. The issue is what is bad about these 3 laws? The government is saying, tell us. These 3 laws have nothing to do with MSP. Neither these 3 laws says that we will take back the MSP.
But the law state, Mr. Agarwal, the law state that the MSP will be, the government will get rid of the MSP. Go on, Amandeep. I'll bring you in.
No, the law does not talk about these 3 laws. Do not talk about MSP, taking away MSP. Neither they talk about APMC.
Amandeep, I'll bring you in.
Of the farmers about APMC.
Hold on, Mr. Agarwal. Let's give Amandeep a chance to respond here. Go ahead.
The first law is on APMCs. It allows for private APMCs. As you just said, We have only 7,000. We need 48,000. Why can't the government make the APMCs? Why can't it make the mandis? Why does it want private players to hold their separate mandis? Bring the private players into the government mandis. Nobody is stopping you from doing that. Remember what happens when a private player comes in. The private player initially gives you a high price, and once he has collapsed your system, he depresses the prices.
All right.
That is the fear the farmers
All
have.
right, all right. We've got both of these points of views. I want to digress a bit. I want to move the conversation away from what's happening with these laws, the debate around them, to the perception that is being created outside. And I want to bring Ashok Swain here, but I want to get a quick response from Mr. Agarwal. Mr. Agarwal, is India facing, after these tweets by Rihanna and Greta Thunberg and other celebrities, is India facing a concerted global campaign against it?
What I want to clarify here is that there are distress in the farm sectors. Government is trying to tackle those distress, and government has found out a mechanism which we think that there was a consensus over the last 20 years on these reforms, and therefore we have brought. The second important thing is, on that agitation, certain political parties in the country and those people who are creating at a global level anti-India, anti-Narendra Modi narration, they are piggybacking on this farm agitation. These are
Who are these people?
Issues.
Who are these people, Mr. Agarwal?
These are ultra-left Naxals, those who have some sort of anti-India, even domestically.
Is Greta Thunberg one of these people? Because the New Delhi police has charged her, filed an FIR against her for sharing a controversial protest toolkit, so to speak, on Twitter.
Yeah, that is because the 26th January issue is a very sensitive issue. It has challenged the sovereignty of Indian flag and the symbols of nationalism. And the Greta Thunberg did, whatever may be the reason, we need to investigate. But where is this nexus which forced her to take this stand? When there is a non-violent agitation going on for now, it is 76 days. The central government has held 11 rounds of meeting. We have discussed 45 hours of farmers. Government is directly discussing. Prime Minister.
So you are saying there is a concerted. You are saying there is a concerted campaign. Ashok, thank you so much for being patient. You are in Sweden. Greta Thunberg is from Sweden. What do you make of this?
Besides that, I don't have any relations. But coming back to this point, I think what is being done, this is the easy way to deflect the attention and blame it on the some foreign celebrities tweeting it. That goes against any country or country's unity. And I think we need to look at how the movement has progressed. In the initial period, when the movement was mostly confined to the farmers of Punjab, the attention or the attempt was to make it a kind of a Sikh versus Sikh issue, or call it a Khalistani agenda, because also at the same time, the Canadian Prime Minister also made a statement, and some of the Canadian and British members of Parliament made statements. And that really made it to somehow kind of converting this issue to a Sikh versus Hindu issue. But what has happened after 26th of January, then there has been a larger number of Hindu farmers, particularly from Uttar Pradesh, when they have started taking in part in the agitation and leading it, it has become very difficult to make it any kind of Hindu versus another religion. So I think this is what is the part is that to blame it on some kind of foreign tweets, to make it saying that as if it's an international.
All right, I got that, Ashok. Thank you so much. Ashok, very quickly, we have a limited time and I want to give the last word to Amandeep, but I want a reply from Mr. Agarwal.
This is quite wrong narration which the person from Sweden is making about. Where is the issue about Sikh and versus Hindu? There is no religious issue in this whole episode.
All right. Last word. Thank you so much for that. Amandeep, I want to give you the last word. Please wrap it up.
It's just wonderful to listen to BJP on foreign television, how they wash away everything they have been doing in the country. This is the exact fear the BJP has, that it is losing its reputation. Remember, they have a prime minister who, unprecedented in the world, went and campaigned for another prime minister in their country. And then they are talking about other people interfering in our affairs, cutting down of electricity, cutting down of water, barbed wire, concertina wire, trenches being dug, the ship containers being moved, police pose around the farmers who are protesting is a human rights issue.
And that's where we will cut it off. Amandeep, I apologize. We were out of time. I thank you all for this lively, invigorating and newsworthy discussion. Thank you so much, Gopal, Krishna, Agarwal, for joining us from New Delhi, to Ashok Swain from Sweden and Amandeep Sandhu from Bengaluru. Thank you all for being with us, and that's all the time we have. Thanks for watching. See you on Newsmakers next time.